We all remember the first line. When Gregor Samsa woke up one morning from unsettling dreams, he found himself changed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. But here's the thing. What if that transformation never actually happened? What if Gregor didn't turn into a bug, but instead, that's just how everyone around him started to see him? The idea that his physical change wasn't real, but symbolic, opens up something darker. Maybe Kafka wasn't just talking about Gregor. Maybe he was talking about anyone who doesn't fit into the role society expects from them. And maybe the real metamorphosis wasn't Gregor's at all. It was the people around him. From the moment he couldn't provide anymore, they didn't see a person. They saw a burden, a thing, something to get rid of. Before he ever became Vermin, Gregor was already trapped by his role. He was working a soul-crushing job he hated just to pay off his parents' debts. That's not family support. That's financial servitude. And what's wild is, no one ever asked how he felt about it. He was just expected to keep grinding, to keep sacrificing. Because in their eyes, Gregor wasn't their son. He was their income. It's the same thing we see today. Your worth gets tied to how much you produce, how much you earn, how useful you are to the system. Before his body ever broke down, his identity already had. There's a line that hits like a punch to the chest. "He must go," cried Gregor's sister. "That's the only answer, Father. You must try to get rid of the idea that this is Gregor." That's not just rejection, that's erasure. The same sister he worked himself sick for now refuses to even see him as human. He's no longer Gregor, not a brother, not family, just a burden. He didn't do anything wrong. His only crime was no longer being useful. And from that moment on, his family stopped seeing him as someone worth caring about. He stopped being Gregor. He became something else, not because he changed, but because their love had limits. No one wants to look into Gregor's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a mirror. It reflects something we're all scared to admit, that our worth is often seen through the lens of what we can give, not who we are. His family's rejection wasn't about his insect form. It was about discomfort, inconvenience. Gregor became the physical embodiment of what we shove under the rug: mental illness, burnout, people who no longer serve a function. And when you really think about it, was Gregor ever loved, or was he only tolerated as long as he brought home a paycheck? Kafka doesn't just show us Gregor, he dares us to look at ourselves and asks, if someone in our life stopped being useful, would we still see them as human? Gregor's grotesque transformation wasn't just physical, it was a symbol, a manifestation of the dark side of capitalism. The moment he stopped being productive, society cast him aside like yesterday's trash. Not because he was a bug, but because he couldn't contribute anymore. Gregor didn't die from his condition. He died from the system that couldn't see him as anything other than a worker, a cog in the machine. When he couldn't work, he wasn't human anymore. He was a thing. The real horror isn't Gregor's transformation. It's the cold, mechanical way society moves on when you stop fitting the mold. So let's ask the tough question, shall we? When you look at Gregor, what do you see? Is he the bug, or is he just someone who stopped being useful? What if the real horror isn't in how Gregor turned out, but in how you might turn out when you stop fitting into the mold, when you stop producing, stop performing. We all have our moments of worth, don't we? But when they fade, what happens next? Do we get abandoned, forgotten, just like Gregor? Or do we simply transform into what the world wants us to be? So go ahead, take a long look in that mirror. Do you see the bug staring back, or the people who'll eventually look away?